Jason, we listened to your founder's video, and one of the things you talked about was having a big mission and a big purpose. And that can be accomplished in a lot of different ways. But you've chosen franchising. We've chosen franchising. Mm-hmm. Why did we come to that decision instead of going a different route?
It's a vehicle, and that vehicle's been refined for 21 years. We've made a lot of mistakes that now potential franchisees don't have to make. Whether it be the right way to collect money or the right kind of projects to go after. Should I do residential? Should I do commercial? The fact of the matter is that because we've made those mistakes, it's now so much easier for someone to follow the system and achieve success in a much greater and faster fashion. I think back, and if I had this vehicle when I started the business in 2021 and had all the processes through technology, through marketing, through customer interactions and all the automations and the customer touch points, man, I could have grown this business so much faster. Not only grown it faster, but starting there, how much better can you make it? That's the exciting piece too. So inviting a lot of entrepreneurs to help us and achieve that vision of success is going to be exciting.
So how is that different than when we had the Tampa location and we did more of a regional, right? Because some people would think that that's pretty similar, but it is different, right? And it's a different model and there's different benefits to it. So instead of going regional, which we experimented with, why is franchising a better or maybe a different way to go, and why? You know, we experimented, is it because of what we learned? Or is it for a different reason?
Well, I think it's both. I think there's two reasons. One, what we learned is that the growth model with general manager in place and an expanding workforce in one location, believe it or not, can be a little more complex. But the other piece of that is entrepreneurs want to win. Entrepreneurs have growth mindset. They tend to think bigger. And ultimately, I want to connect this vehicle to big thinkers so they can achieve things that maybe even the home office hasn't achieved yet. That's what I get excited about, because I think through the vehicle and entrepreneurs and connecting them together, really big things can happen.
Yeah. So then how are we going to be different? How is performance painting different as a franchisor? Been working on this for a while. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get prepared. What are we going to offer differently than what other franchisors across any business are going to offer?
I think there's several things, but the most important is the type of support. Support comes in many ways, I think, in the franchising world. More times than not now, training is a part of onboarding. And I think that training is different depending on where you go, but is that training supported over the long haul? I don't learn by coming in and learning something once and then going out and starting and never getting any more support. What we've developed is a process where you not only have a coach here, but if you're intimidated by any part of what we do in the commercial painting business, and one of those things may be estimating, right? These larger projects, you can make mistakes estimating. We're fortunate to have a great group of people here who have done it wrong and done it right. And we stick to doing it right now. We've developed a great process that will keep you profitable and estimate your projects properly. So you support through estimating. You get support through the sales process. How do you find opportunities? So you're supported through automations in every single touch point. Learning our automations, you'll have access to someone who can teach you all of that. You'll be supported through the actual performing the projects, which vary more widely in commercial than it does residential. So we spent a lot of time thinking about, okay, if someone's not from the industry, how do I go about painting a warehouse? How do I keep my team safe? How do I keep the production level where it should be? And how do I make sure the communication is not too little, not too much with the customer?
Mm-hmm. So one of the other things you mentioned there was automation. Let's talk about tech stack. Mm-hmm. What does our tech stack in general look like, and why are we excited about it? Because I know I'm excited about it, right? It's one of those things that I think is a differentiator.
Yeah, well, Matt, you've been really involved, so I'd like you to speak on it a little bit. Our tech stack looks like, without going into the details of the tech stack, from the touch point, first customer outreach for marketing, whether it be the first introduction or the follow-up to the first introduction, all the way through to we've done your project, you've been communicated with all along the way, and now we're getting a review. There's lots of steps there. If you don't mind, I'd like you to talk a little bit about those steps and go into a little bit more detail.
One of the things we talked about a couple years ago with our internal tech stack was it was too complicated. And I think most companies have that issue. You have one program for this and one program for that, and one program over here, and you've got 7, 8, 9 different systems that maybe work together, maybe don't work together, probably don't work together. And then you're gonna have all these different data points. You're gonna have things that don't talk to each other, things that don't listen to each other. And the chance for inaccuracy goes way up. And we identified that. So what I've been really proud of as a team, what we've worked on is condensing and simplifying that tech stack, right? So we may have multiple things that we use, but they work and talk together seamlessly, right? We have one central hub. That hub talks with everything and automates as much of the process as possible. And I think this is one of the benefits for franchisees is that they don't know the system. We're gonna teach them the system. We're gonna support the system. The automation in the tech stack also forces them to use the system and teaches them the system at the same time. You're gonna move a job through the process and it's gonna remind you what to do. It's gonna automatically send out an email. It's gonna send you an alert if it's been sitting there too long, so we can kind of dummy proof it, right? And make sure that people who don't know it like the back of their hand, like we do, have a different way of doing it.
Right.
And then there's all the other pieces that are coming in, and we're also trying to get AI in on the beginning of everything, right? Because it's part of the future, and we're gonna try and put that in with everything. We're already developing some of that, right? But I think more so than almost any other company, we've gone through a model that keeps it centralized and simplified, right? And I think that's a really big deal because that's intimidating for some people to learn 9 different programs. They come in, they got to download 9 apps to figure out how to run a business.
I remember when we were using all the different apps, and you do the same thing 3 times in each app, and it starts to get a little frustrating. So eliminating those has been really big.
So one of the other things a lot of franchisees want to know about is unit economics, right? At the end of the day, they're purchasing us, right? They're the brand, the license, all that. But they're in it to make money. We want them to be successful. That's why the support is designed around it. But what do the unit economics look like in this kind of business versus maybe some other ones?
In terms of initial investment and return on investment, it's probably faster than most. The reason is because through our model and the refinements that we've made, you have a larger average job size, lower initial investment because of things like not having to buy real estate that's large, right? We want you to have a commercial space, but it doesn't have to be large. We have efficiencies built around being able to go out and build the relationships and get that up to speed really fast. So the moment you start and open your doors, you have leads to go on that week. You're gonna go and sell paint jobs really fast. First, second, and third month's revenue projections for us, we think are a lot more attractive and larger than a lot of the opportunities out there.
Well, and one of the things we talked about with, instead of going regional corporate owned versus franchise model, is we can be super efficient with the overhead, right?
Right.
Because in a regional, you can get bloated really quickly before you even realize it. You need to have a general manager and a regional manager, and you're gonna have travel from back and forth and doing all this. But we envision a location being able to start with very little overhead and being able to get really efficient and really profitable really quickly, right? Because it doesn't take much, again, because of the average job size and because of the kinds of work and the repeat work we're gonna do, you don't have to do the volume.
Right.
So you can, like you said, the amount of prep that goes into a small house is the same as the amount as to a $50,000 project, right? And so now you're getting the benefit of a larger project over less people, right? That's one of the other benefits of having this franchise model and doing it that way. So that's how we can support them getting profitable really, really quickly.
Yeah. You know what's great about it is that having done residential in our past, we know what it's like to go into someone's home and invade their space. We know the type of interactions that have to occur when you're doing that. In the commercial world, we've taken that level of care and injected it into our commercial experience. But I'll tell you that the way that the customer looks at their commercial property is a bit different than the way they look at their residential property. So knowing the language and knowing how to work with that is a big part of what we think can help you scale faster.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about what performance will do as a franchisor. Who's going to be a good fit as a franchisee for our brand and for what we have to offer?
Yeah, it's a really good question and really important to us. Not everyone is going to be a good fit, and we know it. I think if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy building relationships, but wants to have a business that you send a lot of flyers or market to and you get leads in, that's probably not the best fit for us. We want folks who want to get out in the community, build relationships, and kind of be their friend, people's friend in the painting business. Outside of that, values match. Right? Values are something that we hold very close. That's a non-starter for us. you'll be joining what we consider family here. And that culture is really important. And it's a long relationship we're going to be building if you become a franchisee for us. So those pieces are great. And then the other piece is we have a mission here. If you believe in it and want to join it, that's key, right? It's, do you think big? Do you want to go somewhere you hadn't been? And do you believe this is the right vehicle? And I think we've got the right franchisee.